I'm Tanya Mulry. I was thrilled to spend this summer here at Cal Arts filming the Coursera specialization on freelancing. And I do hope that you check it out, especially if something that we talk about today sparks your interest and you want to go deeper on the subject. So, how did I become a freelancer and how have you been exposed to freelancing? There's many different ways. I think about three ways, right? Sometimes you do it by choice because it sounds really fun and you want to be your own boss and you have this talent and you want to bring it to the world. So many people are blessed to go down that path. But sometimes it happens by structure because your industry is just structured that way. And the projects that you gain, you have to go from gig to gig, always lining up your next gig. And I think a lot of students coming out of a school like Cal Arts will face that kind of structural freelancing need, right? So you need to think about how to steer your career like a business owner. And then the third way is the oops way, and that's how I became a freelancer originally. I had moved out to Los Angeles to work for a very exciting venture-funded startup, and in 9 months, the company was completely shut down. So I was always an employee. I've gone through school in New York, and I had worked in investment banks, and I worked at MasterCard for 10 years, and I left that cushy job to come to do this kind of risky job with a startup, and I had no idea what to do next. I had no friends in Los Angeles, maybe like one. I had moved my entire family across the country, and we were renting this house, and we couldn't just move back with a moment's notice, like very complicated, pulling kids out of school, all this stuff. And so I asked my one friend to introduce me to his one friend who needed help with his website. And I was like, how hard could that be? I've been building software for big companies. I'll figure it out. So he paid me a good sum of money that will cover the rent. And I learned how to become a website developer. And so that was the beginning of my accidental freelance career. And for some of you, it may happen that way too, right? You get a job, things happen, the economy, COVID, blah, right? Things happen in our lives and we have to adjust. And so regardless of if you're doing this because you're plan one, I really want to do this, I'm like a go-getter, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to get my career underway, I want to be completely in charge of it. Or you're number two, structurally, you have to figure out how to get gig after gig, and you have to manage all these contacts to get your work to be steady throughout the year. Or three, this happens accidentally. I hope that you'll find some interesting things either from our course, our workshop that we do today, or from the many videos and ideas and tips that we shared in the Coursera course. And so, let's see. Let's do just, I might get a sense of quick intros. Do you fall into 1, 2, or 3, and like, what are you studying? Could we just get a little sense? Let's see, all the ones, raise your hand. Okay, I really want to be my own boss. Okay, all the 2s, structurally. Yes, my industry's kind of like that. Number 3, oops. Yeah, that was me too. So I will stand with the 3s. Awesome, good to know. And then what kind of majors? Just popcorn style, call it out. It's kind of informal, like shout out your major. Music, film, dance, art, animation. A little of everything, that's cool. We don't have just one kind of freelancer. Almost any skill could be turned into a freelance opportunity. If you think about it, independent doctors and lawyers, they're freelancers too, right? It turns out that 1 out of 3 people in the American economy is working for themselves or in a micro business with under 5 employees. And so many of your friends and neighbors actually are doing something like this, and you might have more resources to get help out in your community than you possibly could think of. How many of you had a parent or maybe a close relative or neighbor that showed you the ropes for entrepreneurship as you were growing up? Ooh, you're super lucky. Didn't you too? You too. Okay. That's awesome. Soak up those lessons. Don't be afraid to ask people. That is definitely a really good idea, especially if you get somebody who can inspire you, mentor you, or that you've had an example to look at before. That's going to really help you in your job. and creating your own job, building your own job. Okay, so today we're going to cover a few, I hope, fun exercises. I don't want to like oversell it, but I hope we'll have some fun today. And hopefully we'll get to really dive into really what makes your particular freelancing life special. Like, what are your values and how do you build a job for yourself deliberately with intention that really matches your values, your skills, and the people that you want to serve. We'll talk about how to make decisions as a freelancer. And this is the most important skill, I think, that any business owner needs to learn. We didn't cover it in the specialization, so it's kind of like bonus material, right? Because you guys showed up, you're going to learn this awesome skill. And then we're going to get into some groups with a partner, and we're going to kind of brainstorm some of the ways that you could grow your business. And lastly, I'm willing to do something fun with like one special volunteer. So think about if you want it to be you to do some decision making with me. And then we'll break for Q&A, and I'll stay as long as you guys need to answer all of your questions and make sure that you're feeling like we wrap this up with a bow. Okay? Does that sound good? So if you guys can, I'll commit to you to try to keep it fun. If you guys can commit to kind of staying with me, I know we're in mask, and that's like, it's one more day in a mask. No, it's the end of the day, we're all tired. But hopefully we can keep this high energy, and you can commit to me and each other to just have some fun this afternoon. Sound good? All right, perfect. Okay, so the first thing is that you guys have paper, right? You have like a cool little gift notebook, which is awesome. There's also a postcard about the specialization, so you can find it later. But for right now, grab your pen, and I think somebody was handing out pens, and grab your paper, and not with the circle on it. The first thing I really want to talk about today is that you have the ability to use your unique abilities to bring something really unique into the world. But sometimes you feel like, I have so many talents. Look, I got into Cal Arts. Like, I have to be talented, right? This is a very tough school to get into. And it's very hard to decide which talent to apply, right? But as a freelancer, focus is key. Your message out to the world has to be very clear. This is what I do, this is what I offer, so that people can clearly say, yeah, I want some of that, or that might not be for me, but I could recommend you to somebody, and I could easily describe it to someone else. Okay. And so many freelancers struggle with this to get to that unique value proposition, that unique thing that you can offer the world. So I ask you guys to find something to lean on if you can, or maybe the notebook. Use that circle to some advantage, and I'm going to kind of give you some guidance to figure out what kinds of words to write around the outside of your circle. So think about the groups you identify with, or that you belong with, or that, the labels that people put on you that you're proud of, right? So I'm an artist, I'm a dancer, I'm a musician, those kinds of things, right? So the output of this is going to look like lots of words around the circle. So just randomly place them around. Think about some of the roles that you play as well that are really important to you. Like, if I'm going to focus my life on something, I don't want to forget that I am a, daughter, sister, mother, friend, those kinds of roles, or maybe volunteer. There's all kinds of things that you can talk about, being a teacher or being a helper or whatever that is for you. And maybe think about some of the interests you have, clubs you belong to that you really would like to spend time on those things, causes you support, things you've perfected, you've mastered, you've studied, you're really good at it. The things that send you down the rabbit hole when you're looking at social media at night and you just can't stop watching the TikTok videos about that subject. Write down a few of those subjects. How about, what would you do all day if you didn't have to worry about work? Right?
This is still outside.
Yeah, I mean, if you need more space, I understand. But just kind of like place things literally randomly around. I'm going somewhere with this, so just trust the process. Okay. So your circle's getting kind of dense. There's a lot of stuff. All right. So phase 2, and if you have 2 pens, use your second color or switch with a neighbor so we can start to see some patterns between these things. Hopefully you have some things all around your circle. Because otherwise it's going to look a little funny. Okay. So take a minute and draw lines between the subjects you think are connected to each other, that logically go together. The lines might look like, just 1 to 2. Sometimes it's going to come out as a triangle. You see these 3 things connected. That's okay. Just draw lines between any 2 words that you feel are closely connected to each other, that make sense, that pair well, that go together. In your mind, it feels like those things are a match. That's like peanut butter and jelly for me. My dancing and my teaching, or my music and my performing, or those kinds of things, right? Now, for many people, it turns out to be a very big scribble. Like everything's connected, right? And that's good, because that means that you're really aware of yourself. You understand your passions, and your path seems to be pretty clear, and you kind of aligned your life to follow those things. So that's pretty cool. But for some people, you might have like a really weird assortment. And that's also okay, right? You're a multi-passionate, multi-interested person, and you've tried a lot of things in your life. We're trying to find the patterns, the thing that's going to bring you the most satisfaction and joy as you explore this career. I'm just going to watch a little bit, see how your drawings are going. This mic doesn't go very far, so it's going to be interesting. Have a readout. All right. Now, hopefully, if this has been done the way I think you're doing it, or the way I hope you're doing it, you're starting to see maybe some like clusters of lines, like the intersection of your lines are kind of clustered together in a certain area. So kind of circle that spot. It's going to look like maybe like more of a tangle, like a nerve tangle or something, or like the part where the yarn gets tangled up. And notice what lines radiate from that spot. What words are closest to that spot? I would argue that this little spot is the intersection of where your interests converge and where a really cool, well-aligned, value-driven career could be created. Does anybody want to read out or shout out what their cluster is about? You have something? Choreography? Yes. Okay, so what are some of the things that are connected to choreography for you?
Dancer, ballet, freelance, and teacher.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So do you think you would be teaching choreography or choreographing to help teach? Is there something like connected about those 2 things?
Yeah, I feel like I have my own methodology to create some choreography, so I can teach it to like people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a choreography teacher?
Yeah.
Okay, well then, it worked. It worked to reinforce your message, right? Did anyone have a surprising outcome? Like maybe some things that maybe you didn't expect to be connected? Yeah.
I feel like a lot of things were connected to the word organized.
Oh, interesting.
But it's not like a job.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of kinds of jobs that require a strong skill of organizing. There's even like a whole organizing type of industry now. Like people are going into others' homes and organizing their offices, or even digital organizing. You never know, but that might not be for you. What is around your organizing?
The things I have most are organized, boss, and music credits.
Music music credits, what does that mean to you? Like,
I have a recording engineer, producer, like there's a bunch of different, I just program and things.
oh, interesting. So maybe there's something in the, like keeping track of music rights or tracks. I'm not sure what, is that a thing? Is that like a type of role that could be played?
That's a job, yeah.
Okay. Is that something you think you could do independently from like a music label or maybe on behalf of an artist, kind of keep track of how their music has been used and where they're making money from their music? That could be like a really interesting, lucrative area, right? A lot of people in the music industry actually need business managers who would keep them organized, right? And to help them maximize their payouts and chase money from Spotify and all these other people holding their money in escrow. Like there's a lot going on there, so that's interesting. And maybe that's not something there's a class for in school, right? It's not like you wake up one day and say, I want to be a rights management, business management kind of person for the music industry, right? So let's see, anybody else have a surprise? Oh, and by the way, I'm not saying that's what you have to do with your life. I'm just saying for your consideration, there might be something to explore there. Okay, one more surprise or quasi-surprise? Yes.
I have art, friend, drawing, chill, exploring, study, clean my room, eat, drink water, play games together.
Oh, that sounds like being a student forever. Like you could go back to school like I do. I mean, that's master's program right now. So that would be fun. What do you think that means to you? What do you think it means about your career path?
Also, my artwork is related to my life.
Okay. Very cool. So, you want to really have that sort of relaxed, chill art vibe going forward and really dedicate yourself to your art. Very awesome. Okay, so let's wrap up that section. Just say, many of you might have had a little private revelation. Let's sit with this. Take this home. Think about what could be done at the intersection of all of those interests that you laid out, right? And I would bet that there is some form of freelancing that could be built around your interests that you just identified. We did this with someone this summer, and they had identified things like they love to go camping, they love to go, in the wilderness, they love to be with friends, they love to cook, they love to plan meals. And so that sort of combination of things we turned into, well, maybe there needs to be some kind of like an online resource for meal planning for going camping. Well, that's cool. Maybe there are people that would subscribe to something like that or a community that could be built around that. So you just never know. Sometimes there's a business model that you wouldn't have considered unless you kind of poke at this and do this analysis for yourself. Is that cool? All right. So now let's shift. You've just made hopefully you're going towards the first big decision in your business. Many of you may not have formally started a business or not even thought about becoming a business owner, but congratulations. I think you have your business idea in your hands. And making that first decision is the first of many that will lead you down a path, right? Our success is related to the sum or the compounding effect of all of our decisions. When you think about it, all of life is like that, right? Your decision to go to a certain school, your decision to apply yourself to a certain test to get a good grade or to do a great performance. All of those decisions add up and kind of compound each other. Think about interest in the bank or in the stock market, right? Although not so much the bank's kind of bad. And the stock market's been rocky lately. But essentially, imagine a stock market that just keeps going up. And the money that you have today, let's say you have $1,000 in the bank. That would be a very nice thing, I'm sure. And every day, 1% is added, or every week, 1% is added to that number. So the next week you have 1,010, right? And then the following week you have 1,020, 1,030, and 1,041. It just keeps adding up, right? Based on the balance from the week before. So the sum that you can create, by the performance that you could create in your business is based on a series of these weekly decisions that you put into action, right? So if you started with that $1,000 and you're making $1,000 a week, which would be awesome, like people would be very happy. That's a very healthy start of a new business. You're making $1,000 that first week. What if you could think about thing that gave you 1% better results next week? Does that sound hard? Like, could you do 1% better in a week? You know, could you make it $10 more next week? It doesn't sound that hard, right? But doing that consistently over 52 weeks, how much do you think you'd be making at the end? So that weekly total, compounded every week, would be $1,661. Now you're getting somewhere for a weekly payoff, right? Not bad. Just 1% every week, applied diligently, like in the direction that you want to grow your business. So annually, your salary then would be $86,000 and $376. $86,376. Not bad. Like lots of freelancers, super happy with that. But what if, just imagine, you could make a 10% improvement in your business every week? I'm not saying you have to, but here's the range of possibilities, right? What if it's a 10% improvement? You aim for one, but you got 10. And every week you get lucky and you get 10, right? That same $1,000 at the end of 52 weeks would be $129,130 a week. And annually, it would be $6,714,757. I think you'd be a very happy freelancer, right? So somewhere between that early start with $1,000, both scenarios, you could make between $86,376 to $6,714,757 a year, right? Somewhere in that range. Would it make sense to put in place a deliberate decision-making process that every week you say, this is a problem I'm trying to solve, this is the goal I think I could achieve, I'm trying to get 1 in 10% improvement in my business, and I'm going to focus like heck on that thing this week so that I can make a big difference. Because I know at the end of it, if I keep doing this, even if this one week it flops, I'm going to be in that range somewhere, right? And I'm going to be better off than I was when I had a $1,000 business a week. Is that cool? So, do you guys pay any attention to the quality of your decision making now? Has it ever occurred to you, like, kind of make that a discipline or a practice in your lives? I'm curious if anybody has a way they do that today.
I used to do 10 push-ups a day.
Okay.
Now I do 20 push-ups a day.
Okay, similar concept. I think you've got to teach me push-ups after this. We'll have a push-up workshop at 5 o'clock. I need some help with my push-ups. Well, that's cool. So it's an exercise, right? Just like we try to keep fit, we try to eat right. Some of us are a little fluffier after COVID, a little bit, right? But you know, you try to do these things. Well, we want to get it past the try to do these things. We want to do these things, right? We want to find the things that are going to make a difference and help us grow our business. And right now, I'm just saying that there are things. We're going to get into what those things might be. We're going to brainstorm together. But I hope I made the case that there is a really large impact if you focus on your continuous improvement. Just adding something weekly that's going to make your business better and better and better. This doesn't have to just be about business. This could be about life, right? This could be about how much you love your loved ones. This could be about how you show up for friends. This could be about how you perfect your craft, right, as artists. But in this case, how can we make like 1% more to 10% more every week? Okay, got it. So what do you think is a 1 to 10% improvement you could make this week? That could be about any area of your life, but helpful if it's about freelancing or the career you have in mind. What do you think you could do to make just a 1% improvement to 10%? is a great one to start with. Send an update to your network to say, this is what I'm doing with my life. Does anybody know anybody who might need this? Okay, I would write that one down. I think that's a good one to try. Right. That's awesome, because what would happen? What do you think is the result that you get from doing something like that?
Well, it's just that they keep knowing that you're here and you just like slowly leaving little seeds and you eventually one day
Yeah,
search for something. Not
totally.
a stranger.
Totally, planting seeds to let people know what you're up to, that's huge because they will grow into trees. That's another kind of way of envisioning how compounding works, right? I made a post on LinkedIn yesterday, just to your point, right, about what I'm doing with my life now and my business. And people started to message me and say, oh, I could introduce you to this person who could be super influential, and people I hadn't talked to in years were like, oh, that's really interesting. I'd like to talk about that. And so you just never know, right? So what is required to get that improvement? How are you keeping track of these people to send it to? Like, what's your method for keeping track of people in your life?
Oh yeah. Well, that's still something I'm struggling with. I think about it often, but
Okay.
I don't actually put it into action as often as I could.
Okay. So good habit, I mean, is be deliberate about your contact management, right? If you're going to be a business owner, how do you keep track of the people who could hire you? You can do that in a spreadsheet. One of the people in our, I got to the pleasure of interviewing Socks. I don't know if you guys know Socks Whitmore. They're fantastic. We had such a good time. There's a whole section in one of the specializations about the spreadsheet they keep, about all of the people they've ever worked with, right? It could be people on the crew. It could be people who were like casting for something. It could be like the director of some project, right? But just categorizing them all and keeping that list, super important. Depending on your industry, there might be contact kind of databases to be involved in. Being registered in those databases is super important. For me, I do a lot with LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are my two big ones. But for family and friends, Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And so just being deliberate when you meet somebody, invite them to connect on LinkedIn, like automatically, or whatever the database is where you do your connecting. Automatically follow, like, connect, say thanks, great meeting you. Just lock that in, that memory of meeting you will, last, and you never know when that person might pop into your life again and might be, leading to some special project or opportunity. So totally do that. In fact, it would be awesome if you all did that with each other, because your classmates and your schoolmates are going to be the people who bring you into jobs over and over again. I can't even think of a story of a person in my life having gone through many years of career that got a job through applying on a website. Never heard that happen before. Like, almost impossible. Every single career opportunity has been because of somebody I know or somebody they know helping someone else out. Like, I had a friend from college. I helped her get one job, and then she moved to another place, and she helped me get that job. We're still friends to this day. So definitely cultivate the contacts that you have around you, the people that you meet, even professors. Like, it's, I teach another university, and I never mind when my students want to connect with me. I think it's great. I love to hear their career updates. I love to help them out. I love to be able to send them opportunities in their field, right? And so it's really nice to be able to do that, but it's a regular practice. So if you started with your week one, this is my improvement, I'm going to make sure I connect with everybody, and that's going to be my forever principle for the rest of my life. Lock it in, and you have compounding effects that are going to last to the end. I hope it's a very long time, but it's going to compound a lot. Okay, anybody else have an idea for what they could implement? Doesn't have to be hard, but something simple that they could do to improve 1 to 10% this week. What do you think? You could add so much value to your business, especially at the beginning. What are some of the things you think could be done? Yes? Building a website. Awesome. There's so many cool website builders out there right now that are very easy to use, inexpensive, right? Almost free. There's some you have to pay a little bit for, but You can probably teach yourself that, just like I did, if you don't already know that, but so many of you may be coders, or maybe there's some students that you know who would be more than happy to help you out with that. So yeah, you can get that going, at least just like you're telling your network, this is what I do, your website tells people what you do, right? Also, making sure that somebody can reach you through the website or like request a project or contact you in some way. It's important to think through how you want that to happen. But you'd be really, really, really surprised at how many opportunities start to come your way once you put up something makes you look like a real business. In the industry that I'm entering right now, we have a nice website. It's very exciting because I built websites. I feel proud of it. But it was one of the first things I did in launching that business because I just knew it was going to give us the credibility. And we talked to somebody else at a similar stage of business. And I went to their site, and it was kind of like one page, really sad, like off the, I don't know, like a GoDaddy template, like very sad, right? Came with the domain, didn't even switch out the background, nothing, right? No, nothing's clickable. There's no contact information. They don't even say what they do. It's just the name of their firm. And I'm like, these people are not even for real. Like, what? So if you could take a few hours, some of the examples, maybe Wix, Squarespace, I use WordPress a lot. There's also Webflow is like beautiful if you're really into the aesthetics. I love the things that you can do with Webflow. It's a little more complicated to learn, but those are some great, easy to learn types of platforms that could build a wonderful website quickly. Yeah, but you could also do a social media page or something that you drive people to, and you could always take your domain name and forward it to a page like that instead. And a lot of people do things like Linktree or About Me that are very simple for like laying out different links that they have, like to point to different pages that they have, especially if you don't have any way, you just don't have the time to learn how to code on top of all the things that you're doing at school. That might also be a good option, just if you've got multiple projects to get started. But that's an awesome idea, right? Okay, so I mean, just with those two ideas that came out of this tiny little brainstorm, you could basically be in business, telling the whole wide world, getting business from anywhere in the world. Like, how exciting is that? Y'all are freelancing. I know you're going to go home tonight. You're going to be Wixing it. You're going to be linking it. It's really awesome. Okay, so can you guys commit right now to me and all these people in on camera? Can you commit to making this a regular practice in your life? That you will weekly think about this. I am going to improve my business 1 to 10% this week. What can I do? Maybe make it on your calendar. Sunday night, I'm going to think about this. Or Monday morning, I'm going to think about this. What's the one thing I could do? Yeah, cool. All right, how about we get a little more spirited about that? I don't know what the Cal Arts cheer is, but you're going to tell me, right? What is the Cal Arts way of saying, I'm committed to doing this? You don't have a cheer? No? Nothing? You don't like get to make a Mickey Mouse or anything? Like nothing?
The Cal Arts and Martian.
The Cal Arts and Martian?
Unofficial mask.
Okay, how does that work? Tell me.
Oh.
What sound does the Cal Arts and Martian make?
That's as far as we've gone.
Oh! We've simply voted for the name of the Martian? Okay, all right. Well, what sound do you imagine it would make? How about you each make up your own sound and we'll see if it converges. 1, 2, Cal Arts and Martian, 3! Oh, that was weak. I'm just going to say my people at the cinema school at USC would at least fight on, like organized people would, right? You guys, we have to work on the Cal Arts and Martian thing. All right, we'll get there. Perfect. Well, thanks. I don't mean to make fun. You're going to go through this. Okay. So we're gonna, yes. So that focus, okay, we got it. 1 to 10%, we're there. Where are you growing? That's my next topic, right? Where are you growing with this? You've got hopefully you have some kind of name. You've got your website, you've got your key message. This is exactly what I do. It's on vision. This is what the joy and the work and the quality I want to put out in the world. Who wants it? How are you going to grow? Okay. So we just had a tiny little like popcorn kind of like call it out brainstorm, but I'd love for you guys to get with a partner and help each other, like find out what the idea is that you're working on, the business that you're thinking about. Come up with 6 ways for each of you that you think that you could grow 1 to 10%. These are 1 to 10% ideas, right? So just get together with a partner for a few minutes and see if you can brainstorm 5, 6, 7 if you're an overachiever. I think you might be overachieving today. You could come up with 7. You already have 2. There could be 5 more. So grab a partner and help each other out. Let's have a discussion.
Also renting our sons.
Yeah.
How is it going? You guys look like, well, this is what I can tell. You have masks on, so I can see your eyes are smiling. You're nodding at each other. It looks like you've been helpful to each other. Who came up with like a really crazy good idea to promote one of your friends' businesses? There's got to be somebody who's got a 1 to 10%er above and beyond. You were talking about something. I'm gonna find out. How about you? You want to tell us? You've already talked about it.
We're getting there.
You're getting there? Really?
We're
Okay.
there.
How are you gonna promote your art in some like amazing free way for your business? There's so many ways. I was just talking to Jen about that. What is
In my
one way?
case, I
DJ. How could you promote DJing?
yeah, I mean, posting small things with Instagram and
Yeah.
releasing music and sending demos to other DJs later.
Amazing. Well, that's 3 weeks worth of stuff, my friend. So if you committed to like posting, how often do you think you could post on Instagram? Little snips of your DJing?
I would say like once a week.
Once a week, okay. That doesn't sound hard, right?
No,
Okay. So right after Monday morning when you're deciding to decide, you have another like 15 minutes where you're gonna post a clip to Instagram, right? Easy. Easy. Okay. That's your week 1. You got it.
it's right.
And week 2, what are you gonna do next?
Do it again.
Do it again. Now you had another idea, which was like sending clips out to clubs
Yes,
or
sending like demos because
demos.
yeah, we keep our stuff. I don't know. It's like a music producer or music creator. Like we keep our stuff in the computer.
Nice. Yes.
But
Easy to send.
I mean, the thing is, we're very self-conscious about it. So
Oh.
trying not to be self-conscious and send other people
Oh my
because
gosh.
maybe
Oh
you
man.
have listened to it many, many times and you're like, okay, it's not good because I've listened to it like
Yeah.
100 times.
I feel that in my soul because honestly,
Maybe someone else has a different opinion.
wow, that's deep. We all have that, right? We're all self-conscious about our work. We're all afraid to put it out there. We're all afraid of the judgment, right? Let's be honest. Like,
Yes.
somebody's gonna judge my work.
Yes.
What if they don't? What if you're spending all of that time worrying about the 1% chance
I think you
that they didn't like it?
You need only one good answer. So
Right. You only need to
get
send
that
it to.
energy going.
How many people should you send it to a week to make your business grow?
I would say like 4 people
4
in the
people.
industry that I have contact with. It's good
Okay.
enough.
So now your Monday morning routine, decide your week 1 task, which is post to Instagram, your week 2 task, because you're just going to keep a to-do list, right, every week. The things that you started to systematize in your business. These are just the things I wake up on Monday morning, I do every week, right? I'm going to send it to 4 places.
Sounds
What?
easy.
What? Okay, great. So now, like, what's week 3? What are we going to do in week 3 to add to this, to compound it?
You know, like also reach out of music industry, for example, dance industry.
That's true. I never thought of that.
Yeah, dancers need music.
Oh, you could email it to 4 dancers and choreographers.
Finding a dance collective. That's
Oh,
hey, it's cool. You're familiar with my music. That's a good idea.
yeah, collabs, right? Okay, so now, I mean, all of those things could be done in an hour a week, right?
Almost less than that.
Oh, how much less? How effortless is this?
It's very effortless.
It's so effortless.
Oh my god.
It's so
What am
effortless.
I doing here? Ah!
Why did you have to come to an hour-long workshop to figure out how effortless this could be? Ah, if only everything were so effortless. See, here's the thing, you're producing so much incredible content and it's sitting in your phone or your hard drive of your computer. Why? Who's gonna like it there? Like some like weird computer mouse? Cal Larson's gonna sneak in there and enjoy your music?
Hacker, maybe.
A hacker? Oh yes. There's probably a hacker out there that'll enjoy your music. Does the hacker also hire DJs?
So,
Well, then you need to put it somewhere else. All right. So also, could you maybe week 4? Does it belong on what are the places where you could post it for music samples? SoundCloud or and what's the latest?
yes,
Yes. Okay. So you could have like one clip that you really make
Bandcamp is
special.
very good.
Which one?
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. Gonna make one special clip in week 4 or 5. Where are we? 5? I don't know. Week 5. We're a month in. Like we've been growing our business so much. And you're gonna zhuzh it up. We're gonna make it super special. It's the best clip I ever made. Right? And it's going on Bandcamp and it's going on SoundCloud. Now other people are gonna see it without me having to go there, and the people who want to hire me are going to find me, right? Because you're gonna have a beautiful profile, a way of getting in contact with you, and samples of your music out there. Now, how is your business doing?
It's better.
So good. And it was,
10% a day, let's go.
do you know what is so cool about these postings? You don't have to do that every Monday. It's still there. The next Monday you go back, you put the second one. The next Monday you go back, you put the third one. It's living there forever until you delete it, right? So you're creating evergreen content that will continuously promote your business. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Okay, so who else can add? What do we got for week 5? Almost everyone could follow the steps that we just went through, right? Almost everyone could do that in their business. It doesn't have to be about music, but you could like substitute your topic and do the same thing, right? Okay. What's next?
I guess it's kind of related. I have a question as far as like balancing like to-dos that are like, because we're talking about things that are like proactive to help ourselves in the future. I personally have a lot of problems balancing that with stuff that's like, oh, like, crap, like I have to do this thing, I have to do this thing, like people are asking me to do this, you know, it's like, so like immediate work and like catch up, like it's really hard for me to, I guess, take charge and plan things out when I'm just constantly trying to keep up with the stuff people ask me to do. So I'm wondering if you have like ways of balancing that out, because I'm always like, oh, I gotta do the immediate stuff and then I'll do the future things, but it never happens.
I know, and it's balancing the problem where like that stuff that we just said was so effortless and easy. You still come back to it, oh man, do I actually want to share this with people? And I'm so busy and all that. That's a hard one. I think literally every freelancer and every artist goes through that, and so it's totally valid to feel that way. I know I'm feeling like I'm fighting fires every day too, but I would recommend the best thing to do is time blocking, right? You say that Monday, whenever you wake up, I'm a late person, but like some people like to get up really early, some people like to stay up late. Find some hour, if it's lunchtime on Monday, whatever the time is, right? Block it out and say, this is when I'm gonna be promoting my business. Or this is when I'm gonna update my website, or this is when I'm gonna post my social media, right? Or this is when I'm gonna email clients. The thing is, the being in reactive mode all the time is going to keep you from growing, right? It's gonna keep you with the clients that are bugging you also, versus the projects you really want, right? And so sometimes we get in that trap of like feeling like we have to do all the things. We're getting, we have demands on our time. It's just normal, right? At some point, if you're deliberate about growing your business and finding these wonderful projects and the best clients that don't bug you all the time, you will have enough money coming in that you could hire somebody to help you with things, right? You could hire somebody to help you with social media once you've defined what you want done. You could help somebody to do the outreach for you. You could hire somebody to take the client questions and plugins that you don't want to have to do. You have a client manager, right? so, but you can't get to that point where you can afford to do that unless you put in the effort to do the growth tasks. Does that make sense? So I know it's hard, there's a lot of tension, and it's literally the thing that keeps people up every day. But if you come back to, if I could just spend 1 hour a week doing effortless things that I just do like clockwork every week in my business, and those things generated 1 to 10% more business for me every week, like the problem's kind of solved, right? 'Cause with 6 million whatever dollars, you can hire a team to help you stay above the noise of the customer service problems, right? Does that make sense? It's tough, man. Like trusting to find that next employee. We talk about that a lot, I think, in the specialization. Trusting that you'll find the right people, that you can give up control over things, that someone will do it, maybe not as perfectly as we do it, but over time you'll find that there are people who are way better at that one kind of task than you are. And you give them the things that you hate to do, but they love it, right? Like bookkeeping. You're like, bookkeeping. Oh, I just sent my account my taxes stuff. Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. I wait until a week before it's due. It's the worst, right? So maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe that's something worth taking off of my plate and hiring somebody to do. Maybe I should pay my accountant $50 a month so I never have to worry about that again, right? And that's what I do. Try to solve that problem because it's not my thing. I don't love that. But she loves it. Oh my gosh, she would run a spreadsheet like nobody's business. She could do taxes in like 15 minutes. It's her like. She went to school for that. I don't know why. Someone would pay to learn how to do that. But she loves it, right? So find that person who's super passionate about doing that thing that you hate and let it go, right? Train them up and make sure it's done well and monitor what they're doing. But hopefully that takes some of the tension off of your mind, right? I know, it's hard. Being a freelancer is no joke. Like this, we went through some fun things today, but it doesn't always feel fun. And, but if you start to build some of these skills and like really start to understand what other freelancers do to get through these problems, you'll start to feel like this is a groove that I can get into. This is something that I can do well. The mistakes will be further apart, but there will always be mistakes, right? There will always be a tough client that you had to fire, or that, how many stories do we have? Like all summer, we were talking about all the horrifying things that could happen to freelancers if they don't know these stories, right? So I think that's really what's in the Coursera thing. If you have like lots of questions like this, it's really easy to find that 3 or 5 minute video with advice on that kind of thing. And I also think the interviews from the CalArts alum are super important to watch because they've been exactly in your seat. They've done the same kind of degrees as you, and they've gone out into the world and made successful freelancing careers. And they're all about keeping you from stepping in the same minefield that they stepped in when they started their businesses. And so I think you'll really identify with their stories. But yeah, I feel like your energy is sad right now. I didn't nail the answers.
I just look sad all the time.
So Monday morning, we're going to pump up the smile. Number 1. Oh, well, I can feel sad a lot too. So I'm just like an empath. I can get the vibe. Okay, so I think that's like we're at that point where y'all might have some questions, and I'm happy to stick around and answer questions, and y'all can listen to each other's answers. So, I think we're 501. I hope we've kind of challenged some of your habits and some of your thinking about how you could be a freelancer and how you could show up with your career in a different way. And hopefully some of these things you'll take on and think about weekly, Monday morning, when you set your alarm to do this kind of thing. I hope so. And then I hope you take the time when you can, especially during breaks, spring break. I know everybody wants to go to Cabo and watch specialization on Coursera on freelancing, but it's available to you for the summer, whatever you want to. But it's nice to have it, be able to dip in anytime you have a question like that. Hopefully it's a good resource for you. We poured a lot of heart and soul into just trying to think of all the things that could go wrong, or that you want to know as you start your career in freelancing. So hopefully it's a good resource for you and you enjoy it. So I'd love some questions. What do you think? What are you thinking about? What's your main takeaway from today, or thing that you'd still like to know more about? You got something? I can see. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a quick question. Sure. I started to have a freelance job here, but I'm not from the US, so I don't really know if there's. I know where I'm from. It's you have to declare yourself as a own business.
Oh.
But I don't think in the US you have to do that as well.
There are different forms of business structure in the US, and it does vary quite a bit. So in the course, we don't necessarily say what happens specifically in California because this course can be used anywhere. So in California, you really have to check what kind of business it is. Do you need a local business license? So are you living here on campus?
I'm living in the area.
In the area. So, I mean, depending literally on what your address is, you might need to go to a different business authority to say, do I need a license? If you're living in the city of LA, you might need one kind of license. If you're living in a county, but not in the city of Santa Cruz, it's complicated, right? So we can, maybe Lena and Jenna can get you some kind of a link to be able to look that up. In the city of Santa Clarita, there are some really great business resources through the city. They should be able, like the city website, you should be able to find business resources, and they should tell you this kind of license required. Okay. That's one thing. You might need a license. The second thing is that you have to think about what the form and structure of your business is. If you're doing something that would possibly cause a liability for you, right? Somebody could sue you for tripping them when you're dancing or something. I don't know what the scenario would be. You want to think through the issues about whether you're going to want to disconnect your person with your business, right? So you want the business to be held liable for whatever happens so that you don't personally get sued for things. And so you might choose a different form of business on that for that reason. Generally, if you're just a simple freelance business, you might either be a sole proprietor, you might be an S corp, or if you're doing a business with like a few partners, you might think about an LLC. But if you were doing a software startup, it would be a totally different answer. You'd probably be a Delaware C corp, which is a whole other type of thing. So I would recommend that you kind of start with some business resources that you find through the city. And then they should point to other things. If you are selling physical goods and services, you also have to worry about sales tax and registering to, but if you're doing a wholesale business and you need to buy things for wholesale and resell them, there's certain licenses around that. So it's kind of a tricky question depending on what kind of business it is. But I think like looking for those kinds of business resources would help. Yeah. Hopefully that was not too long. Is that you? Is that your first like that you just sent out? That's so cool. Is that from your phone? Is it? That's awesome. Is that the sound of the teller sheet saying time to go? I think you guys need a contest. You need to listen to the audio engineers to come up with the sound, right? We need to figure it out. Okay. Any other questions you want to talk about?
Yes, I wanted to talk about LLC.
Yes.
And, like 503s and the difference between a nonprofit.
Oh, yes.
And how to go about figuring that out.
Do you have a really good reason to be a nonprofit? Because I have opinions on this subject. Like a really good reason?
I don't.
Okay.
Well, since.
Okay. I'm a student too, but it doesn't mean I have a nonprofit.
Right.
Do you want to give me a little more information?
Sure. So I started this production company.
Okay.
Yeah, right now it's still free, but
Okay.
I'm also like I can't put everything into that right now,
Okay.
and like non-profits right now, like pay certain
Okay, there are business fees. Like, first of all, you could be a sole proprietor and you don't have any fees, right? You can just be in business for yourself. You say, this is the name of my business. And generally it's like your name, and it's very low regulation, right? Very low fees. Starting a nonprofit is actually way more expensive than you think, and it's very challenging in terms of paperwork. And there's no guarantee that you'll get granted a nonprofit. So if you are having a really important reason to take donations from someone, you might find another nonprofit to align with and become, I'm not going to get there, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a sub-chapter of that nonprofit. They could sponsor, they're a fiscal sponsor of you in your initiative as part of their nonprofit. It will be so much easier and so much less costly and difficult to operate that way. So find a production company that's aligned with your values, and if that's a nonprofit, which seems a little strange. I don't really know a lot of production companies that are nonprofit, but if they're willing, to connect with you that way, that could be great. Of course, they're like assuming some responsibility for your company, and so there's a negotiation to happen there, and they need to know you and trust you. But that's one option. If you are thinking about, can I be a nonprofit? Can I be a for-profit company? May I offer that you can do a lot more good in the world by being successful financially and not worrying about the nonprofit status. 10, 12 years ago when I started a company that had a cause angle to it, there was no such thing as B Corp. There was no such thing as cause marketing. Nobody understood that doing good in the world could be compatible with also doing well financially, right? So think about the choice that you have to make there, right? Committing to a life of poverty and financial insecurity is not necessarily the way that you can help the most in the world, right? So find a business that helps you generate enough money that you would then be able to donate to charity, or you'd be able to run a charitable initiative. All right, there's no shame in that. You also have to pay off your loans, let's be real. I am in the same bucket, I understand.
Less expensive to
I think it's less expensive, it's less annual paperwork. When you're a nonprofit, you have to publish your financial results every year on your website in a Form 990. So there's 100% transparency over everything, how much salary you take, how much your beautiful pens from Staples cost, how much you're donating to whatever the cause you're using in your programs. It's just a lot of paperwork and it's difficult. And some people will love it, right? But you still have to go and ask people for money all day long, right? You still need donations. And so to be really realistic about it up front, I would say it's as hard or harder to run a nonprofit as it is to run a for-profit company that then wants to give back in some way. Does that make sense? And there's nothing stopping you from making your documentaries about amazing, important subjects. I was talking to a guy the other day who's raising money in a for-profit company to do a documentary about the horrifying things that are happening to Indigenous women. Horrible laws on the books that need to be changed, right? He's going to make massive social change, but he's making this whole film within a for-profit way because he has to, right? He has to have the right production quality, he has to hire the right staff, he has to do the right things to get it distributed so that everybody hears the message, right? Does that make sense? So you might need millions of dollars. And
guaranteeing pay for all the purposes.
yes, you're employing so many people. Think about the ripple effects that your business done that way can have in the world. Imagine if you're doing your 1 to 10% and things are starting to cook, and next year you could hire 2 people. And the following year you could hire 3 people, and then 5, and then 7, and then 10. Look at that. That's how our economy runs, is because people like you decide to make something cool in this world and start employing other people, right? That's where all of our job growth comes from. That's where our economic growth comes from. is from entrepreneurs. So I hope you'll consider it. And if you need to make a nonprofit, definitely find a nonprofit consultant to help you with filing all that paperwork because it's complicated and you need to do it right or you'll waste a lot of time. And that's my experience, like, unfortunately. Like 3 years of sadness and crates of paper to have them say no. Like, why? Why can't you don't want to do that? So I am, like, definitely a leading advocate for not doing nonprofit, to sum it up. But, like, yeah, go out and do something really awesome, right? As big as you can. Take that issue and, like, blow it up. Make sure everybody knows about it. Okay. And pay yourself. Please, entrepreneurs, pay yourself. As soon as you can, pay yourself. You'll feel so much better about your business if you get a paycheck from it, right? Okay. All right, does anybody else want to start a nonprofit? Okay. No takers. Okay. Like serious practical questions, I'm happy to answer more questions. I do expect that we'll all get DJ clips on Monday morning, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question, Tanya. Regarding the finances,
Yeah.
so I feel like that's a common thing that people getting into freelance think about is if you go on a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks, how do you manage that? You know, it might be a big project and then have nothing going on for some time. Wondering more practically if you recommend any types of software to manage finances or budgeting in general. If there are current trends in types of software that are really useful for managing that.
There's a few components to that. So there's what your accountant and your tax person is going to want is probably different than what would help you manage your budget. And in that Coursera course, you do have like a simple spreadsheet to plan out your budget, and some videos help you hopefully navigate that a little bit. But some software that I've used is QuickBooks or Xero for the accounting part of just like tracking all your transactions and doing your invoicing and billing with clients. But to manage a budget, either a spreadsheet, you kind of like plan out your expenses and know how much you have to save, especially if you're like, hey, I'm getting paid, 2x this month and 0 next month, and then 2x and then 3x to, you've got to figure out what are your average monthly expenses and not spend that extra money, right? Make sure you're spending X every month and that you know that you have to save that extra. It's not time to go buy like a very special whatever it is that you're craving if you're going to have to pay rent next month, right? You have to figure out how to either smooth your income by having like more regular projects or being super diligent about saving, right? And planning. And those are really important skills. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's really important for freelancers. If you are in a situation where you're like, well, I'm in trouble and I really need to get a handle on budgeting, I really need it to be real time, and you really need to make an effort in this area, there's a paid software called YNAB. It's YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. And it will stream, or Mint is another one, but it will stream in the transactions from all of your banks and your credit cards or your debit cards and let you categorize them and let you plan for how much you want to spend every month, and then also like track your performance against what you planned. And that could help you get a better sense of it. But that's also, you could do it for free manually in a spreadsheet as well. Yeah, you don't have to necessarily spend $90 a year or whatever it is to do that. Yeah. But yes, the other thing that always comes up with finance is benefits. People are worried. Everyone's mom or dad has said, you need a real job because you need benefits. And I will say that is something I see a lot of entrepreneurs worried about, but there are some cool solutions out there that I think are getting better and better and more affordable. One that I see tracked a lot in the entrepreneurship circles that I'm in is one called Catch Benefits. That's, there's a few companies out there that are designing benefits for entrepreneurs. There's also like a freelancers union that you could sign up for and you could, I think, get healthcare through them. It's like a buying group that you could belong to. there may be unions or other like organizations that are in your field that you could explore getting benefits from them that hopefully will keep you more steady throughout the year because you don't want to have to stop and start and start and start. And yeah, definitely make sure you have health insurance. Why that's tethered to work, I'm not sure. Every day I complain about that, but you might have to figure it out on your own. You can save for retirement, you can save for your healthcare costs, you can save for all those things. You would just find, there's so many like robo-advisors and things out there right now that you can start those kinds of things. You just say, I need to start this, I'm a business owner, and they will guide you through the steps of setting up something to invest. Really think about putting away 10 to 15% of your monthly income, regardless, toward your future. Because at some point you're going to stop working, or you're going to have an oh no moment in your life, and you're going to have to stop working, right? So you need to make sure are taken care of today and tomorrow. That is my sermon on finances. It's not a fun topic, but it's doable, right? But you just have to dig in and be smart about it, or find somebody to help you with that, because some people get too scared about that. But you might need some support in that area. What you got? You have a question? No? I love it. Everybody thinks I'm looking at the person behind them.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Another question?
Where can we get more access to this knowledge, more knowledge about freelance?
So much knowledge. Okay, so in your little booklet, now I feel like it's time for the commercial. You see those purple postcards? See? Oh my gosh, you're like wrapping it up in a bow. It's so beautiful. Look at that. I mean, we worked really hard on this all summer, so I do hope that some of you take advantage of it. I think, there's no cost to students, or is it cost to students?
There's no cost. So if you sign up for Sarah, and then if you want the freelancing course, if your CalArts email address, it has to be CalArts email address, and then you join the program, there will be no cost.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, and we worked really hard on how to structure this. There are exercises similar to what we've been doing now, and you guys got to break out and talk to friends. We've scheduled it so like as you're developing your business ideas and your business plans, you get to work with peers online to kind of give each other feedback. And we, it's not graded in the sense of like, high school grading, right? But it is like you have to give a certain amount of feedback in order to pass to the next thing, right? So we really structured it deliberately so you guys get in a community to help each other out. Does that make sense? So I think that was the coolest part of that project, is we were trying to figure out how that could work. So you're not alone in this. You'll be exposed to other freelancers who are going through the same kind of thing and work out your stuff together. That's cool. And I'm sure there's a way that you can email all of us somehow through that system as well if you have further questions or suggestions to make it better, or extra little videos or something that are needed to fill it out. Because we will do a review and see what else might need to be added to it. That sound good? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for summing it up so nicely. That was amazing. Yeah, you are truly a performer, sir. I highly recommend you. That was awesome. Well, I really enjoyed getting to chat with you guys today. I hope this was fun and interesting. It's like just the beginning of our lifelong relationship with fun freelancing topics, and that we will get a chance to see each other again someday. Even if it's just me in a blue shirt for 90 straight videos, which is like a weird situation, but it's available to you. I hope it's helpful. Okay, so who had the best idea for business growth idea today? Like by show of hands or point to the person you think had the best idea that you're gonna use. Like, who are you pointing to? White sweatshirt. White sweatshirt. Yes. White sweatshirt. What's your name? Zoe. Oh, I'm super excited. Okay, I'm gonna get to give you my book. Whoops. So this is my copy, but I have one in my bag, and I'll write it out to you because there's more stuff in here about how to decide, and I brought it as a gift for you. So I'm glad that you have this idea. So cool. Okay, I know you guys are on your way to $6,714,757 a year in freelancing income. Woo!